So we're going to deviate a little bit from your usual schedule that you're used to seeing in your program. I know that often you do a meditation before the talk, but we're going to incorporate the meditation portion into the talk, and it will occur near the end. We'll also incorporate some singing into the talk if you choose to sing along. So we're just kind of changing the order today, changing it up. So our talk is called Music and Mythology, Stories of Transformation. And we'll look at 3 different traditions. The first one being a Native American tradition from the area where we're from, which is Mount Shasta. And that is called Coyote Goes on a Vision Quest to Mount Shasta. And then we'll swim into the northern seas with a Scottish mermaid who's experiencing some trials and tribulations. And finally, we'll look at a path of transformation that's offered by Tibetan Buddhism. So we're really going to be going around the globe a little today. We'll start it off with Coyote Goes on a Vision Quest to Mount Shasta.
So this is a story collected by Frank Gachet, who worked for the Department of Ethnology, the Smithsonian Institute. It was collected in 1871 from an old Modoc woman. And the story is Coyote Goes on a Vision Quest to Mount Shasta. So, before the world was the way it is today, Coyote was walking down by the water, and he saw a group of young girls bathing. And he went right up to the bank of the water, and he made a pass at the young girls. And they looked at each other, and then they looked back at Coyote, and they said, "Oh, Coyote, you're way too old for us. You're going to have to find someone your own age." Well, Coyote, being Coyote, was very disappointed at this result. Coyote then thought to himself, I should go to Mount Shasta on a vision quest so that I can become young again. So Coyote had made this resolution to go to Mount Shasta on a vision quest, but he had no idea how to do a vision quest properly. But he had an old friend, Jow Jow, Flying Squirrel, and he knew that Jow Jow had this knowledge. So Coyote went up to Jow Jow and said, "Jow Jow, I've resolved that I'm going to Mount Shasta on a vision quest. Will you help me?" Jow Jow looked at Coyote and said, "Coyote, young creatures go on vision quests so that they can find their life purpose and then live their lives according to their vision that they receive. You're old. You've already lived your life. You have no reason to do this." But Coyote, in a fit of inspiration, responded, "No creature is ever too old to go on a vision quest. I put this off for too long. I want to do it now." Jow Jow looked back at Coyote and said, "Coyote, those are amazing words. I don't believe you at all. But you've been my friend for many years, so I'm going to help you anyway. Coyote, you need to gather blankets. You carry them to Mount Shasta on your back. And when you get to Whitney Creek, cut Sweat Lodge willows, strip off the bark, wrap those in the blankets, follow the creek up beyond the waterfall to where the trees stop. There you'll gather your firewood, wrap that in the blankets, and carry it up to the saddle between the 2 peaks where you'll build your sweat lodge. You'll build your sweat lodge out of the willows. You'll take the firewood and put rocks on top of it. Build a fire, heat the rocks up till they're glowing hot. Carry them in your sweat lodge with a couple of sticks and get some water from the lake. and make steam and pray all throughout the night to Gamokamsh, this great creator spirit who's created this entire universe, who lives inside Mount Shasta. Pray that he will adopt you as his son. And Coyote, furthermore, it's important that nobody sees you do this vision quest. Nobody hears this song, and that absolutely nobody finds out what you're doing. So Coyote takes off, walking toward Mount Shasta with the blankets on his back. And pretty soon, some people are walking on the trail from Mount Shasta towards Coyote. They round a bend of the trail, they see Coyote and they see the blankets, and they stop Coyote and they say, "Oh, Coyote, whatever are you doing singing, carrying all these blankets toward Mount Shasta?" And Coyote looks at them and then answers and says, "I'm going to Mount Shasta on a vision quest so that I can become young again." Well, the people look at Coyote and they say, "Well, Coyote, we wish you well." And the people keep on walking, and Coyote keeps on walking towards Mount Shasta. And a little while later, some more people are walking on the trail from Mount Shasta towards Coyote. Before they round the trail, they hear this howling, this canine howling, and they round the trail and they see Coyote with these blankets. And they stop and say, "Oh, Coyote, whatever are you doing with all these blankets walking towards Mount Shasta?" Coyote answers them, "I'm going on a vision quest to Mount Shasta so that I can become young again." But as Coyote gets closer and closer to the mountain, the immensity of what he's doing begins to overtake him. And the next time Coyote hears people coming on the trail from Mount Shasta, he hides in the manzanita and he sings softly to himself so they won't see him or hear him. And the rest of the way, on his way to Whitney Creek, Coyote hides from all creatures when they come on the trail. And he gets to Whitney Creek and he cuts his sweat lodge willows and he strips off the bark, wraps them in his blankets, goes up above the 2 sets of waterfalls, up to where the trees stop, gathers his firewood, carries it up to the saddle between Shasta and Shastina, and he builds his sweat lodge just as the sun's setting. And he gets his fire going, and he gets the rocks glowing hot, and he carries them in the sweat lodge with sticks. He gets some water from Lake Sisson, and he makes steam, and he prays deep into the night to Gamokamsh to adopt him as his son. And then he falls asleep. And he dreams that Gamokamsh comes into his lodge. And Gamokamsh says, "Oh, Coyote, I know your intentions have not been pure, but you've done the ceremony, you've sung the song, you've built your sweat lodge. So I'm going to honor your request, and I'm going to adopt you as my son. And furthermore, I'm going to honor your secret request, and I'm going to make you young again. But more important, I'm going to promise you that as long as there are 2-leggeds and four-leggeds walking on this earth, there will always be coyote. So our talk is music and mythology. So we have a coyote chant for you from Mount Shasta. We would love to sing the Modoc coyote chant, but it's lost. The Modocs lost the war with the United States Cavalry, and their culture was decimated. But the tribe just to the west of them, the Karak, have maintained their traditions. I learned this chant from a 6th generation medicine man that I apprenticed with many years ago. We're going to sing you the Karak coyote chant. We'll sing it 4 times for the 4 directions. We're going to walk around the room making a sacred hoop to sanctify the center of this space, the way the Native Americans would. You're welcome to sing with us if you get the knack of the song.
So Coyote, this seems like such a serious story, doesn't it? Coyote going on his vision quest, but the story itself, Coyote is such a kind of a bumbler. I would call him an accidental tourist of transformation, where he goes along, he has kind of the wrong motivations, he's very selfish, and he just lets it all hang out, sings his songs loudly and declares his selfish intentions, all that. But somewhere within Coyote is a little seed of possibility. So this little seed of goodness that Coyote carries with him when he's stumbling along and doing goofy things that go against the prescriptions that his friends told him, or Jow Jow the squirrel, said, do this ritual in a certain order, keep it to yourself. Basically, through your path, transform yourself with your inner work. Coyote doesn't really set out in a way that's conducive to that pathway. He walks loud and proud, and his goal is to be young so he can get young girls. It's not necessarily the most enlightened spiritual path, let's say. And so, however, Coyote, on his journey, finds himself beginning to change. So the journey starts to work on him. As he meets those people along the way, and they wish him well, he starts to quiet down. Probably not in response to their feedback, but something about their presence. They're still holding a space for him to be his best self. And he keeps going. And he goes up and he builds the sweat lodge. He manages to do that the way he's supposed to do it, the way Jiao Jiao told him to. And then he goes into his all-night vigil, his prayer vigil, and he conks out after a while, just falls asleep. So he's not even really keeping his prayer vigil. But that's where that little seed of goodness comes in, that indefinable something that Coyote's carrying with him all along the way. The creator spirit meets him in his dreams when he falls asleep on the job. So Coyote, there's a little Coyote in all of us, I suspect. We walk our path, we do the best we can, and somehow, some way, we are met halfway by divine grace. Something just, that invisible presence reaches out to us and connects with that good that's already in us. And we find that we can achieve our spiritual goals. And Coyote not only got his spiritual goals met, his desire to be adopted as the son of the Creator, but he got his personal goal too. He was made young again. So there's something really beautiful about that. Not that Coyote's selfish desires were fulfilled, but just that he got such a complete blessing that he was renewed and connected and made whole in a way that probably was beyond what he imagined. His whole species benefited from his efforts at walking the path. So now we're going to swim on a path. We're going to swim with a Scottish mermaid. And her path has some similarities to Coyote's, but she doesn't have it quite so easy. She's a little more conscious of what's going on and more troubled. And probably some of us have been there too. So her story is going to unfold through a song in 3 parts. And it's kind of a mini hero's journey. It's beautifully written, as many folk songs are, traditional songs, to kind of carry the character through a series of events that result in some kind of definitive statement at the end. And this is really a beautiful one. In this song, the mermaid, who I said was a Scottish mermaid, she's going to sing her song in Gaelic. So we're going to do a little translating first so that you know where you're going on the journey. In the 3 verses, she experiences disruption, the first verse. And she's torn away from her loved ones, and presumably they're human. It could be a lover, it could be a human family that she had on land. She may have been in the form of a human, but she's torn away from her humans, and she's bereaved. She says, "I have loved so deeply, even though I am only a mermaid." Now, I think a lot of us would regard mermaids as amazing creatures. I mean, they're mythological creatures. They're so amazing. There's something archetypal about them, that they combine this human side with a sea creature side, because we feel the pull of the sea. So to say that you're only a mermaid is kind of like Coyote asking to only just be made young again. When his friend reminds him, ask to be adopted as Gamokamsh, the Creator's son, that's a reminder of his bigger self. So the mermaid's journey will take her into a similar place. In verse 2, after she's been banished or torn apart and she's brokenhearted, she's swimming around and around from island to island. And she says, I never know on which island I'll rest my head. She's a homeless person of the ocean. She doesn't know where she'll be. She's being battered by storms at sea, and she's at the mercy of the elements. That's part 2 of the hero's journey, and that's uncertainty in this mini hero's journey. She doesn't know where it will lead. But as with all kind of unpleasant things, once they ease up a little bit, you look back and you go, wow, I learned something from that. And what the mermaid takes out of it, from her uncertainty, from her sea of potential that she's swimming around in, she does something truly amazing. She looks down into the water. Remember, this is the element of her other half. And she sees amazing riches, silver and gold, such as she has never seen in the palace of any king. Now, mermaids don't need a lot of pocket money. So we can pretty much know right away that this silver and gold is not your usual kind of coinage. It's a metaphor. When the mermaid dives into the water, when she goes under the water, when she embraces her other element, after she's been broken and torn up from the first one, she finds fulfillment. She finds resourcefulness. She finds abundance. She finds the grace and givingness of spirit. When she dives into that water element, she's literally going into the ocean of her greater being and the ocean of spirit that can support her. So she goes from the surface, humanity, to being tossed about on the waves where she's not sure whether she'll dip her foot in the water necessarily, so to speak, and then finally diving in where she's fully embracing that unification of herself. So she does not have an easy path because she describes being heartbroken. She describes being thrown about. You know, Coyote's kind of happy-go-lucky for all of his funniness. Mermaid isn't quite so lucky, but like Coyote, she emerges with something absolutely amazing, and she surrenders to it. So we're going to do her little journey, the 3 verses, and because it's in Gaelic, she sings in Gaelic. I'll try to give you some signposts along the way so you can just follow her journey and reflect on your journey, and are there any similarities? We're going to start with some ocean waves. Verse 1, disruption. Is my John Barami. I have loved so deeply, even though I am only a mermaid. Huvais Norien Huva, Huvais Norien Hi, Huvais Norien Huva, Sanle for of Yahweh. Verse 2, uncertainty. Chanyel mocha I never know on which island I'll rest my head. Huvayis noren huvayis noren huvayis noren samle for of Yahweh. Verse 3, reimagination, the new beginning. Shall es weiken grund na farge, uvanare get sorgunji, lanyera chanakasule, aunan kurst njol kurst under the sea, silver and gold. Huvayis noren huvayis noren huvayis noren samle for of Yahweh. We hope you enjoyed the mermaid's journey under the waves, over and under the waves. And if it bears any similarity to your own life or to someone you know, then just know that that key is to surrender and to embrace spirit and then go into that water. Just let it guide you, let it lead you. So from the mermaid, we're going to now move in yet another direction. We're going to go to Tibet and look at a journey of conscious transformation. And this is where I promised you we'll do a little meditation.
So our third mythological tradition we're looking at is Tibetan Buddhism. And we're going to take you through a practice that Tibetan lamas do before they give initiation of universal compassion. It's a practice called Nishpatikrama and Utpatikrama. Nishpatikrama, dissolving the universe to a point of light, and Utpatikrama, recreating it from that point of light as a three-dimensional mandala of universal compassion. So, this practice also involves the use of a mantra, and this is a mantra that I've set to music many years ago, and I've been taking around to New Thought churches, and I played it here many times. So we'll start with that chant. It's the Tara mantra. Om Tare Tare, Tut Tare, Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tare, Tut Tare, Tu Re Soha. You're welcome to chant with us, allowing that compassion to flow through you, reawakening those centers of compassion that lie within you, reprogramming yourself so that compassion becomes a more natural first response. Tare, tu re soha. Om Tare Tare, Tu Tare 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 Tu Re Soha. Tare Tare, Tu Tare Tu Re Soha. Om 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 Tare Tare, Tu Tare Tu Re Soha. So if you'll prepare yourself for meditation, sitting with both feet on the floor, your spine erect, breathing into that space as deep as you can breathe, as deep as you can go. That place beyond the cares of the world, beyond duality. That place of pure awareness. I take refuge in all spiritual teachings throughout the universe. I take refuge in all spiritual teachers. I take refuge in that community of light workers in every city, in every village, in every town throughout the world. May all beings be happy, free from suffering, never separated from immeasurable bliss, free from anger, attachment, and delusion. I vow to remain committed to this project of this great enlightenment for as long as breath breathes through this body. So now if you'll visualize this entire universe collapsing into a point of light. From this point of light, visualize a red lotus with blossoms open. On top of this red lotus, a moon seat appears, a white crescent moon pointing upwards. Seated on top of this moon crescent is the green syllable Tom, which is also the essence of your own mind. is the bija or seed syllable for Tara, a being of immeasurable compassion, living within every sentient creature of the universe, a being that we create with our own awareness. From this green syllable Tom, rays of light are manifest, which make offerings to all spiritual beings throughout the universe. This light then reabsorbs into yourself as you become Tara. The color of your body is green. Your right hand, which rests on your right knee, is in the giving mudra. In it, you hold the vessel of life. Your left hand is at your heart, with the ring finger and thumb pressed together, holding the stem of the blue upala flower. You are peaceful and smiling, adorned by all precious ornaments and garments. Your right foot slightly extended, your left leg slightly tucked in. Your back rests against a wall of moon. On your forehead is the syllable Om. At your throat, Ah. In your heart, Hum. From this hum at your heart, light rays are extended, invoking all enlightened ones of the 10 directions in the form of green taras, with the recitation, Om Benza Samaya Zahum Bamo. All these deities then absorb into yourself. And again, from the seed syllable at your heart, light rays are extended, invoking the 5 initiating cosmic Buddhas as you recite, Om Benza Samaya, and make the request, please, enlightened ones, bestow on me all empowerments. And the enlightened ones respond, Om Sarva Tathagata Abhisheka Samaya Shiri Hum. And having thus said, they pour water from a vessel onto the top of your head. This water goes completely throughout your whole body, permeating you, purifying all bodily defilements as it fills up to the top of your head. And in your heart, on that moon seat, the green syllable Tom is now surrounded by the complete mantra, Om, Tare Tare, Tut Tare, Tu-Re, Soha. And from these syllables, rays of light are extended, making offerings to all enlightened ones and all those striving for enlightenment throughout the universe, which become useful for the benefit of all sentient beings. All powers, blessing and compassion of all those enlightened ones and all those striving for enlightenment now manifest in the form of rays of light, which absorb into this rosary of seed syllables surrounding your heart as you recite the mantra, Om, Tare Tare, Tut Tare, Tu-Re, Soha. Om, Tare Tare, Tut Tare, Tu-Re, Soha. I confess all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time. I rejoice in all virtue of all holy and all ordinary beings. I shall remain committed to this great enlightenment until all suffering ends. I will turn the wheel of spiritual teachings for all sentient creatures. I dedicate all virtues of myself and others to this great enlightenment. Om Tare Tare, Tut Tare Tu-Re Soha. 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 Om Tare Tare, Tutare ture soha, Om Tare Tare. 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 Tutare ture soha, Om. So thank you for taking that meditative journey with us. Namaste, Tashida Lake. We've looked at 3 different mythological traditions dealing with transformation. The path of Coyote, the accidental tourist. The path of surrender, the mermaid. The path of conscious transformation, the Tibetan sadhana. There are innumerable paths to transformation. We walk many of them in our lifetimes. We love giving these talks at centers like Unity of Santa Barbara because this center is a house of transformation. Every one of you are here to transform your lives, to make your path more resplendent, to make your journey easier for those in your family, those in your community, and to recreate this world as a world of universal compassion on this process of your own journey of transformation. Your neighbor's path may be as different as Coyotes and the llamas are. The person sitting next to you, you may have no idea, why are they even here? Sometimes you may wonder what your path, if you're stumbling like Coyote. That's where faith and grace come in. We trust that you'll have a good journey. We thank you for allowing us to share with you today. And blessings on your journey. Have compassion on your neighbors and on yourself as you walk this amazing, magical journey. Namaste.